providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
A wonderful welcome to each and everyone as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. Opportunity to get to this a few days of the week to talk to our friends about this healthy perspective on what we can not be healthy in body and city.
Wednesday comments are used by 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email talk today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back and thanks very, very much for joining us. And Mr. Lopez, it's a pleasure. May I publicly extend to you, your family, and your wonderful colleagues about a very, 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 not just a healthy and prosperous, but a safe and it's fantastic 2025 and beyond. Buenas tardes, mi amigo.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Great to be here.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I think many times when we look at life, we see in hindsight the things we wish we could have, would have, should have. And then there are people like you who remind us that it doesn't matter you're 50 or you're 150, that there are things we can do and continue to do because it not just inspires others, but it prepares us to be in a position where we can do more and do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the notion that the Cayman of today, recognizing our yesteryear and our historical context and this commitment to education but to health, the two go hand in hand. And as my colleague Ray was sharing earlier, the notion that through your initiatives about this health, it helps us to appreciate how important that education, that marketing, that promotion, but also that integration with governments across policies, even strategies relative to health initiatives, impact the well-being of the individual, which transcends the societal. So I commend you for your efforts, and well, through you, I want to welcome and ask you to set the stage for us, and then perhaps you would allow us to, be formally introduced to Dr. Hakeem. But Mr. Lopez.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate being here and kind of starting our year in Cayman. So a wonderful thing to visit and spend some time here as always. We're here to really say what to focus on what you're saying, the health of the community. We see Cayman as a part of South Florida. We're each other's backyard. As you know, we have an office here and as well as a PET CT center. And we're here, and Dr. Hakeem will talk about a little bit of the the purpose of this particular trip and some of the meetings that we've had. So tell the community about it.
I remember when you unveiled the PET CT, one of your former colleagues was with us. The idea, again, a relatively small community in terms of the population, but also the size, and yet the resources, the commitment from physicians to other entities to invest. And it speaks both to the confidence, but also the competence that we have within our shores. And I am hopeful that as a people we see our synergies can align. We see it as complementary as much as there may be an element of competition, but it's about a patient-centric approach as much as it's about a people-centric I like it. I like positive. I like productivity. So, Dr. Hakeem, welcome.
Thank you so very much for having us. It's a pleasure. I have heard so much of you, and I was looking forward to actually sitting with you
Thank you.
and having a conversation. Happy New Year's to you and to all your followers. Indeed, not only what you just stated, but it is important that we need to reflect on the fact that the relationship that we have had with this incredible community, it's not a new one. We've been in this market for, I want to say, over 30 years. And then we came to the realization that opening a PET CT wasn't necessarily to gain ground from the commercial standpoint. It was because of a need in this particular community. Many of the countrymen, your countrymen, they travel to Miami for cancer care, and a PET CT is perhaps one of those type of components in the treatment plan that is required. So we came back and said, you know what, perhaps this is something that we can give back as well. Assist the community, provide that particular service instead, in lieu of actually having the person fly to our hospital, which they're always welcome, but you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It is perhaps an undertaking for the patient and for the family. Therefore, this is one way of actually demonstrating that we're here for the medical community, for our peers, whom we not only respect, but we have partnered with for many, many years, as well as those institutions that really take the lead in the medical field.
And I commend that. For me, it's the investment. You know, we have the amount of equipment, but the other resource is the personnel. And as you shared, Dr. Hakeem, the notion that the on-island population, or those who may even travel because of, you know, the accessibility to use the PET CT, for example, that is as much, from my perspective anyway, an opportunity for them to see where they are, so that their next steps in their ongoing care is, I guess, akin to your friends who can look under the hood of your engine, help you to figure out what is there, so that you know where to take it to get the next, you know, round of sort of maintenance.
Correct. And it boils down to precisely that. I mean, it is a small country in comparison to ours and in other countries in the region. 85,000 at this point, we learned this morning. And but obviously it is not necessarily incumbent upon the health ministers to actually begin programs that will require major investment. And traditionally, these patients that require very complex care tend to flock to other countries for continuation of their care. We have phenomenal physicians here in Ireland. We have phenomenal hospitals on the island. But obviously, they might not necessarily have the technology or the expertise simply because they don't have the specialists here. So partnering with these peers is what has made a great difference in the lives of so many Canadians. And just to put it in context, Baptist Health is, and you probably have discussed this many times over your program, Baptist Health is a system of hospitals that it's in South Florida. It's a group of 13 hospitals today and 250 outpatient centers. So in our system, we have a conglomerate of specialists in virtually every single modality. So we have about 7,000 physicians currently. And at any given point, any of the local physicians here in Cayman Island can reach out to Baptist Health International and say, listen, I need assistance with this very complex case. And with the advent of technology and the new things that we have in platforms to actually have a conversation and come out with a plan of care has, in essence, changed the paradigm and the ways we actually assess the needs for a patient that is currently an island that potentially will require assistance in Miami.
I reached out to some of my friends who have always wanted to be physicians, and thankfully, you know, from the early days of their sort of formative education, just continue on that path. And thankfully, you know, a few decades later, they're practicing and they're learning. But one shared, she said, she's of the view increasingly that there's more of an element of collaboration, cooperation amongst physicians than in her early days of med school, where she didn't use this terminology at all. I came with it. It was cutthroat. In a medical, you were competitive.
Yeah.
You wanted to be that student that was at the top of the class because you got the attention, again, my words, of those who are teaching in the fellowships that were looming and the like.
Right.
And she's seen a significant shift in the collaborative. Is that true, Dr. Hakeem?
That is absolutely true. As a matter of fact, Raul, or VP of Marketing and Communication that is with me today, might correct me, but one way that we have established and bridged that particular gap was through technology. We have been providing not only Grand Cayman, but the group of islands in the Caribbean. We have been providing monthly video conferences and the different modalities and specialties that we have actually at Baptist. And we have, instead of bringing doctors into Miami for them to continue medical education, we do it virtually.
Yeah.
So technology has been a phenomenal plus, not only for medical schools and students and doctors already that are specialists in their own rights, but their peers to our physicians are linked virtually.
Right.
So our platforms definitely distinguish us among other competitors precisely because we want to share the knowledge. It is part of our mission, which is once we get to a level in which we get a result through our clinical trials or expertise, it is to be shared for the common good.
All right. Well, let's pause and take our first break. When we come back, maybe we can continue the discussion. We're speaking to Dr. Hakeem together with Mr. Raul Lopez, Baptist Health International. And Mr. Lopez, to you, maybe talk a little bit about the local practice and then perhaps the actual international scope you mentioned, Dr. Hakeem, the notion of the partnerships, the different specialism modalities. Share with us, give us a perspective, and maybe that collaborative, approach across medicine, perhaps may inspire our next budding physician. I'm going to pause. We're going to take that break, and when we return, we invite you to rejoin us.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Ensure that I do Welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. We're talking to our good folks over at Baptist Health International, Dr. Hakeem and Mr. Raul Lopez. Mr. Lopez, in relation to the local sort of office, and certainly Dr. Hakeem would share with us not just the Miami presence, but across, I guess the Americas, but first, locally. Tell us about the local operations.
So I think we've mentioned, we've been here over 30 years and have had an office for about 20 years. And really the primary reason for the office is to help Caymanians that need care overseas. But the funny thing is I'd love to re-emphasize, though, that at our core, we believe the best health care is at home, when you can go sleep in your own bed, be with your family, have your friends and relatives visit you. So a lot of what we do with the office and or the relationships is to assess if a person needs to really go overseas, to, as quickly as possible, return them home, communicate with both the patient and the doctor, what's needed, what are the follow-ups, what are protocols that can be done here in Cayman. So that's it all starts from there. And we are then set up, as we mentioned before, to do PET CT scans here in Cayman. But the focus is take care of the patient at home, and if that's not really an option because they need some form of specialized care, then we're available, and we try to make that as easy as possible.
I think that peace of mind, but also the accessibility, having something just at your doorstep, gives not just the comfort but the convenience. And Dr. Hakeem, that speaks to the presence of sort of a base, within South Florida. But then if you have, I don't want to say tentacles, but affiliates and resources spread out, that brings, that 7,000 plus that you talked about to bear on everybody.
That is quite a point that you're making, and I should mention our international department is one of the largest international departments in the United States. We obviously have been in existence for quite some time, over 35 years, I always speculate. But in any event, the idea and the intent, just to highlight what Mr. Lopez mentioned, is to be able to provide not only for the Caymanians, but also to anybody in the region, in the Americas and beyond, the care that they are requiring or seeking at the moment in which a diagnosis ensues. So with that, yes, under Raul's jurisdiction, we have a group of in-country managers, as we call them, that represent sometimes multiple countries and areas in the different regions in the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. So we have our footprint already established simply because those are the areas where patients tend to think of Baptist as the place to go. And because of the trajectory in itself of Baptist Health South Florida, we've been in existence for over 67 years, which has helped us gain some ground and expand the knowledge of patients' care and share it with the rest of the community. So it is also important to mention that throughout these relationships in the different countries that we have visited, we have established a process for these patients to maximize the time within our system in order for them to, as Raul highlighted, in order for them to get stabilized or get a treatment plan. And then what we have done, which is very unique, it's to share those treatment plans and protocols with our peers abroad. And that is precisely part of the good news that we have today as we move on into the next 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is that we're looking into as part of our strategic plan, is to actually support two of the greatest organizations here in Grand Cayman, which is Doctors Hospital and the HSA. We have signed MOUs with both of these organizations, but I should make a parenthesis and say that the relationship with them has been established forever. Again, over, I want to say 25 plus years, maybe 30. But now it is solidified in a memorandum of understanding where we have addressed some of the areas in opportunities to improve the current system that it is locally here in Grand Cayman. And through collaboration, through partnership, is that we will be accomplishing that.
I'm really grateful, Dr. Hakeem, that you emphasize that, because that speaks to what we talked about, the collaboration, that sense of ensuring that for the Cayman Islands and for Caymanians in particular, the accessibility, whether it's through the HSA, our own sort of national healthcare system, as it were, and then a private entity like Doctors Hospital, for instance, you don't have, the patient being overly concerned with accessibility as there may be in some places, and yet it's the physicians collaborating to ensure that this is what you need as a patient. Well, let's see if between these three institutions we can get you that quality of care.
Correct.
Takes away a lot, I think, from the country's perspective of having to worry about how do we allocate resources. Do we need to build three, competing facilities? Perhaps we, collaborate. That should make interesting perspective for you, Mr. Lopez. And that when you look at that, is it, if I may, and as an inquiry mind and a lifelong student, navigating governmental entities, looking at sort of cross-border competitive strategies, positioning your organization relative to others, must be a fun part, to put it that way. And if you would kind of...
It's a really interesting question. I think, honestly, the way we approach it...
Maybe respectful. Just pull your mic up one little bit. Yeah. Just be like Whitney Houston. Go a little higher. Higher.
Higher. How about that?
Yeah, he says that's good.
That's good. So the way we approach it is, obviously, we have to follow the laws of each country that we're in. And if we do practice any medicine like the PET-CT, we're licensed and in the market by and approved by the respective government entities. But for the most part, we really focus on the relationships with the clinicians. So, with Dr. Hakeem or Dr. Ribas, who's not present, we work on the clinical relationships on island because, as you mentioned before, it's the patient, the local physician, and if we're involved, the physicians based in Miami that then determine, is this care that should be received here at home, or is this care that someone should fly overseas for? So while we have relationships with the government, the day in, day out of how we take care of a patient is really a clinically driven decision.
Thank you for that, because I was just trying to think from the perspective of either the patient or that person with whom the patient will be traveling. And I think, Dr. Hakeem, you were referencing something that made me think of the word concierge. We tend to look at that in relation to hospitality, but in medicine, in Baptist, you want to not just provide a bespoke service, but you want to be almost like a, hospitality and hotels.
Right, and it should be seamless. This is something that not only an international patient should be accustomed to, but domestic patients as well. So I just wanted to throw that out. But we do have a hospitality arm, and we do have a concierge service. All international patients, because we know the limitations on their specific policies or the timelines that they have to actually deal with and try to get their care done as they stay in Miami, we're very sensitive to that. So not only we do have the cultural sensitivity training to deal with the different cultures that come and visit from the different parts of the world, but we also have the manpower to actually assist those patients that come from abroad, either from Grand Cayman or from the Middle East or China or whatever it is that they're coming to seek care. Therefore, we are, in essence, ready and able 24/7 to cater to those patients. But one thing that I should highlight again, it is I love working with this gentleman here because he just makes bullet points in my mind as he speaks.
Yes.
And it's a fact that it is true collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fact of the matter is that if there is a physician here in country that considers that a particular treatment is not being provided here because there isn't that treatment, immediately through our links, our collaboration, our partnerships, they go directly to one of our physicians through our office. And we facilitate whatever it is that the patient or the physician at the moment might require. So we tend to analyze the case from beginning to end. And sometimes we are the ones saying, you know what, it is best if the patient stays in country. Maybe we can just assist you through telemedicine or telehealth, and you can provide because you do have the resources in country. So, you know, we do it with our second medical opinion process. You know, in essence, we do tend to concur with the local physician, and we do say, you know what, 90% of the time we do say, yes, you're absolutely right, this patient requires X. Therefore, we are here to facilitate that if you see it fit for that particular patient.
Well, as we take this final break, I was inclined to, you know, share a thought. As I was saying, if Muhammad can't go to the mountain, maybe the mountain can come to Muhammad.
That's exactly right.
Maybe just as easy. So when we come back, we want to ask if you would, you know, Dr. Hakeem, from the perspective of some of the strategies do you employ relative to not just reducing that level of readmission, but how do we get patients in and out and not only have to come back, but that post-op care. Because at the end of the day, we want a successful, you know, operation procedure, but we also don't want to have to come back. At least not for that, right? Maybe we can chat a little bit from that medical perspective.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to pause and take a break. And at the headlines at 1, Ms. Teresa Lewis will be our guest. And we're going to be talking a little bit of politics and voter registration. Or not, we'll see. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Be part of the 2025 Chamber Economic Forum on Friday, 17th of January at the Kimpton Seafire. Join world-renowned economists Marla Ducaran, government leaders, and business experts as we explore the future of Cayman's economy. From workforce innovation to tourism sustainability, this is where bold ideas turn into action. Celebrate progress and 60 years of the Chamber's leadership and service to our community. Sponsored by CUC, DART, Health City Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. Register now at caymanchamber.ky. Don't miss it.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and I'm truly honored to be able to sit in the company of good gentlemen. I think if you both will allow me, iron sharpens iron. The notion that you can look across the table and be inspired by people whose education acumen not just propels you, the individual, to greatness, but encourages you that thing that your mama always tells you, you gotta be ambitious, driven, determined, but you have to have honesty and integrity. Thank you for being, examples that we can look across.
You're very kind. Thank you.
So to Dr. Hakeem and Mr. Lopez from Baptist Health International, many of us as parents will say to our children, if you can't be amongst the most noble profession as an educator, perhaps pick up medicine and take up the second mantle. And I'm reminded that I was told that the definition of a doctor is a teacher, to teach and instruct. So to you first, Dr. Hakeem, Ray, our colleague, shared that you did missionary work.
I did.
Prior. Share a little bit about that. I want to ask some things in relation to that.
That's been quite a... wow. Yes, I was a missionary doctor in the Dominican Republic. I served in a privileged position, helping a very needy, underserved community. And that is, as a matter of fact, it touches me just for you to actually bring it out. But we helped a community in need at the time, together with the Episcopal Church, and we created a clinic. We mapped an entire town practically. We eliminated the sewer processing lagoon that was close by. We brought electricity and water and sewer systems to that community. So it was a great deal of work in a team effort with together with our friends in the Episcopal Church and our dear Reverend Margaret Short from the Episcopal Church at the time, and many other volunteers from the Peace Corps and so on. So, yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that. Thanks for allowing me to ask. And in doing so, I was thinking that many times we can see the needs in communities that for us, we may say, oh, underserved, underprivileged, this and this. But as I map that across, we who may have great access to medical care because where we are, because of our resources, whether it's health insurance, whether it's the financial, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like that community, when you treat that person, you want that person now to be better and not have to come back to be retreated. Seem like that individual who has now had the best physician at Baptist Health, who has now successful outcome. The readmission, you don't want them to come back in. I'm told that you've developed some key strategies in that respect.
Well, yes, I developed some strategies, not for Baptist at the time that you're reading, I guess, some part of my history.
Yes.
But yes, at the time, there was a great deal of need to prevent readmissions and continuation of hospital stays that were considered unnecessary. So we came back with strategies to prevent, especially on those patients with chronic conditions. The government in the United States challenged different hospitals in making sure that we had not only the system in place, but the processes to prevent that in the future. So those type of strategies now are very well known and shared among the different health sectors in the different countries, obviously, because it's now part of a bigger plan globally. But in our case, we do have quality as one of our standards, main standards that we must continue to obey. Therefore, every single patient that leaves our facility leaves with a plan of care and takes into account, the entire clinical team takes into account the fact that this particular patient with the chronicity of such condition that they might have at the time can come back to the hospital. So there are strategies in place that we have implemented, meaning the hospital system has implemented, to secure that we understand at what stage in the condition is a patient, so we can anticipate if the patient is going to be returning, and not necessarily bring him simply because we already omitted or we have omitted components in the treatment plan that is imperative to acknowledge at the moment of the discharge.
And Dr. Again, I appreciate you, remind us that was something you had done prior to your, tenure at Baptist Health. But that leads us to look at two words: best practice and this notion of benchmarking.
Yes.
We see that employed in other industries. If in the health sector, a physician or a practice at one facility is sufficiently instrumental that it can be copied, as it were, employed in others, again, we, the patient, benefit. That collaborative, cooperative approach is only beneficial to society.
That is indeed the end product that we want to achieve. Obviously, we learn from experiences, and we learn from errors, and we learn from mistakes. And as long as we highlight the opportunities to improve, we can always, as you alluded, create benchmarks to prevent the redirectioning or rerouting a patient towards a more complex care. Only if we had the means and the know-how of how to identify potential problems in the care of a patient. So things of that nature now, it is perhaps much easier, especially in our system, simply because we have algorithms in place that can help our clinicians identify opportunities to prevent a complication or a readmission or whatever it is that we are targeting at the moment.
Dr. I want to thank you for joining us, and as we send well wishes to your colleague, Dr. Rebus, as we invite you for any final thoughts, and then Mr. Lopez, whatever you wish to close us with, but a safe flight back to you, but any final thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners?
Well, I just would like to say thank you to you for the opportunity, and of course wish you and all your listeners a fantastic 2025. And of course, we're here to support the medical community and the patients here in Grand Cayman. And moving forward, well, we are going to be more visible. We'll try to be present as often as time allows us. And we are just excited about this new relationships, or the continued relationship that we have with Doctors Hospital and the HSA.
Well, I think, they say a three-legged stool is better than two, which is better than one. But hey, many harms indeed can make light work. Mr. Lopez, again.
I think to just restate real quickly, we have an office here in Smith Road Center. We have 3 full-time employees here that manage our pet center and also just help people if they do need help overseas or determining whether they should go. So we're part of the community. Love being here. Thank you.
Thank you for that commitment and investment, both of the personnel but also the other resources, and for a country benefits from your team and your resources, then it makes the region better because we're accessible. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
A wonderful and blessed 2025 to you and
likewise. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's pause and let's hear what our fantastic news team is up to. When we come back, Ms. Teresa should be our guest. Looking forward to what she has to share. So stay tuned.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
One in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
This just in, 911 received an active call of potential explosives inside of the Hurley's supermarket at the Grand Harbor Shopping Center on Crew Road. Police say the entire area is being evacuated. However, traffic is not affected. Stay tuned to Radio Cayman for more developing updates. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Thousands of people in the wealthy Pacific Palisades neighborhood in Los Angeles have been forced to evacuate after strong winds fueled a massive wildfire. The inferno has leveled homes while it rages on, exploding from 10 acres to more than 2,900 acres in mere hours. At the scene, a CBS reporter said firefighters were no longer trying to save houses in the Palisades. They're trying to prevent the flames from jumping to other neighborhoods. And the time of day you drink a cup of coffee may lower the risk of an early death, new research suggests. The study found that people who drank coffee in the morning had a lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease and had a lower mortality risk than all-day coffee consumers. But the research could not prove whether coffee was the sole cause. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Julia Ann Ruddy, 1877 to 1942. Julia Ann Ruddy, née Lazari, was married to Henry Watson Ruddy, ISO, with whom she had 3 children. She served as a nurse and midwife on Cayman Brac for many years. She rode a bicycle between her home in Stake Bay and whatever part of the island the mother-to-be lived in. She was sometimes assisted by her husband, the only dispenser doctor on the Brac. She was a very kind and compassionate woman who reached out to the less fortunate, helping them, sharing with them, and caring for them during illness. She was loved by all.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Miss Teresa Lewis. But Karen, may I say it to you and Mr. John, what fantastic, family you have, and then extend a prayerful, wonderful year of not just health, but by extension, to the entire country. I think it's important that we look at examples of families, especially now more than ever, how we are encouraging our own children to get more engaged, informed, involved in our communities. I was thinking about our discussion, and thank you for reaching out to have this. And I wanted to ask one thing at the outset, if you would allow me. It seems that we are, for the most part as a society, even when they're on the eve of an election, still unwilling to publicly talk about politics. I've heard people, and Mr. Peter Milburn would be with us as he would host the show or as he would sit as a guest and say 2 things he doesn't talk about: politics, religion. But if we don't talk about politics, then what? So as you lift your mic, Ms. Teresa, and you share your voice with our listeners. You bring your brain to bear upon us as we invite you to share. So
Yes.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah. So firstly, I want to say a huge shout out to your daughter Cindy.
Sydney, yeah.
Sydney, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. When I mentioned to John that I was going to come by, he said, "Listen, she is one of my IMAC alumni.
Yeah, man.
The minute you get in there, please let Sterling know that I'm keeping my eye on her, and I'd like to know, how she's progressing." And John shared that she went to Brock University, and of course, alumni include Joel Walton. I think Joel was the first one that went to Brock, or Bonnie Anglin.
Might have
Both of
been,
those.
might have been Miss Jennifer Dilbert.
Jennifer went to Brock as well.
Yeah. Well, then she'd been Jackson, but
Yeah.
Jackson or Dilbert, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's been that long ago. Did I say that?
No, you didn't. You didn't.
Oops. Later, Jennifer, my apologies.
So that's pretty good. And I think she did. Your daughter did a degree in psychology. John was mentioning. And he was so really impressed with her performance and so on. So he says, the minute you see Sterling, please let him know that my heart.
Well, you know what? I always consciously shy away publicly from my personal stuff. It's just how it is, right? But since you mentioned that, publicly, I want to thank your husband. He is somebody who, there's a humility, there's an understated elegance and presence about him. And my last good interaction, we were doing a walk, and as I came up, he shared. And it was father to father, not husband to husband, not man to man, father to father. And that love is the word I use. The way he spoke, to me about our children, about my daughter, reminds us that as fathers, we need to step up, stand up, and celebrate and champion and support and nurture each other as fathers. Because it's through that we raise up a stronger society. It inflames and infuriates me when I see men that look like, and there's some words I would like to use, but I won't because I'm in the presence of a lady. And if other men don't draw alongside them and figuratively, shave them, shine them, and give them the strategies and tools and resources to improve, then we need to quietly take them somewhere and baptize them, if you follow me. Because they are doing us a great disservice. So when men like Mr. John and others can hold their heads and in an understated way be beacons, be examples, we can look to them. And that is what is so inspiring. So I say, like, probably every boy, I got the greatest father, I got the greatest dad, because he doesn't need to shout for me to hear his voice. He doesn't need to raise his hand for me to understand his guidance and direction, right? And I think we need to do more. And maybe that will speak to what I was asking about the politics. Mr. Roy Borden, who I think both of us admire as mentors, the gathering of old men. Where is that voice? Where is that physical manifestation of men? This is not anything about man versus woman. It's about, because you can't have, well, you know what? Let me just take a breath for a second. But it's down with that impassioned plea that I want us to be prepared and come to the table to unite. Mr. Hamid said often on air with Modi, there's unity in our diversity, right? We can come together despite the differences, because we are more alike. So through you, Mr. Risa, we are going through, and the elections office is scheduled to come on tomorrow with us. Mr. Hall will join us. We have a discussion Friday with some other young people talking about the need for us to get registered to vote, but also to be informed and participate. You're a champion. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, so thank you so very much for that, Dwayne, and I'm sure that John will have enjoyed, if he's listening, I suspect that he is, he will have enjoyed it. Yeah. One of the concerns that I had, and I hear it so often from my own children, especially now that they're home and they're graduated and so on, is why is it that it's impossible for them to even have the kind of dream that we dreamed of before. We did a really good job of creating an offshore industry that's first class. And we have a first class tourism product. And it's a huge achievement that I think that we should really be proud of. But the downside comes with this kind of voter apathy that you see that is so prevalent among our kids. You will hear, and the younger folks are not monolithic, right? So you can have some that are going to the university where government invests all of this money in them, and they say that, you know, when we come home, we're qualified, at least we have a first degree, it demonstrates that we can think. We don't have a job. And the things that they were accustomed to during those 4 years, for example, while they were in university, they no longer have them, like independence. You know, they now have to stay with their parents, they can't find a job. And, you know, the question always is, you know, who have we developed this community for if we can't take the same advantage that others who come here have and actually progress? And that's really, really concerning when you hear these concerns that that they have. You know, who benefits most from the success in this community? And so when I hear these types of conversations, and I said not just limited, starting for sure with my own kids, with that, you know, now that they're in that age, but hearing it all over. If you go into the supermarket, people will stop you or will pinch you, and they'll say, you know, the parents will have this conversation with them, you know, about government investing all of this money in the kids. They come back home and they can't get any jobs, and then they're depressed and all this kind of stuff. And then there's the other group of kids who are not necessarily academics, which is what I meant when I said that, you know, they're not necessarily monolithic as well. They will have stayed here. They will have observed the way the community evolved for decades, and they see their parents go to vote and so on, and they believe that there are no changes. You know, so their question is, why is it we're building this first class economy and we're not really benefiting from it? And that's kind of like where I wanted to start having this type of conversation, because that's, in my mind, when you hear our students talk about stuff like that, or younger people, to me, they don't understand the value and the power in a vote.
Well, that's it. I wanted to be mindful of two things, right? One, that I don't unconsciously, but as well as deliberately say something that may cause some people to misconstrue it as being politically charged. No, it's not about being neutral. I don't believe that that's a good word anymore, because a friend of mine says, you know, looking at his nice car that he's been renting for the longest time, he revs the engine. Sounds good. But if it's in neutral, it goes nowhere. Right? And we would be inclined to think, oh, you need to be politically neutral. You know, Switzerland's a neutral company. You need to be neutral in this. No, I think you need to be objective and impartial. You need to take a side. You need to be able to decide after careful analysis and observation that this is the best course of action, but not so dogmatic, not so indignant that you can't be inflexible, right? In your thinking, you can't be flexible enough to adapt, but also not so wishy-washy that, you know, you don't have a position. So I posit that to ask, based on what you shared earlier, Mr. Issa, relative to the voter apathy, the young people after great investment, either by the country
or even their parents,
or organizations. You mentioned IMI giving scholarships, and that young person returning to Cayman with academic credentials and is either not able to find employment, but is openly discouraged.
Yeah, and even when they find employment, you know, I had two, after I was on the show yesterday, I had two professional women come up to me. They reached out and they wanted to have a conversation, and they said, you know, you know, they were talking, and they're in the offshore industry, and they were talking a little bit about what it means going to the law school here, for example, and trying to fit in to the wider firms that offer these abilities, opportunities for them to get. And I sat back and I listened, and I said, well, what triggered your reaching out to me to have this conversation? And one of them said, well, Miss Teresa, I graduated with a 2-1 from the law school here. I was employed by X firm, and I went in, you know, gung-ho. She said, you know, the person said that she did really, really well in the law school. And she pointed out that the same lecturers that lecture us here in Cayman are the same lecturers that lecture the students in the United Kingdom. So to suggest, for example, that the law school here isn't as, you can't compare it to others because she says, no, that is foolishness, that is flawed. And then I go into work with the particular firm that she went into, and she said, I sat back and I watched people come in who are less qualified than I am, less intelligent than I am, and I observed them moving up the ladder. When I was on the show yesterday, and she spoke too about how, you know, if you're a Cayman, and she was one of there were not many Caymanians in that particular firm, and she said, you know, when she asked certain questions, she was made to feel as though she needed to shut up if she wanted to keep the job. So if she was asking a question about why, for example, are you giving this particular person an opportunity to do the work and you're not giving me an equal opportunity to do the work, what differentiates me from that person? Just listening to that conversation alone, I'm saying to myself, well, this young lady is just different, because most Caymanians, when they go into these environments, they sit down, lay back, and so on, as long as they're well paid. And that suits, you know, that seems to suit the success in a number of these establishments on island. You know, she was saying, in particular, she asked about how is she going to develop her, you know, her portfolio, and she asked them to provide them with a plan, with a plan. And the mere fact that she requested that plan, she said that she could start to see there was a change and a shift in the behavior in the firm. And it got to a point where she just felt, you know, she would go home and she couldn't sleep. She would get into a state of depression. She would get these migraines and so on. And she just felt, after being in that toxic situation, that she was better off leaving. So I said to her, and this is just one of the 2 young ladies, so I said to her, how prevalent is this experience? Because I certainly know what I went through from decades ago. And she says, this is routine, Miss Teresa. She says, I am not saying anything that people don't know. And she said, you know, this is one of the reasons why we're so frustrated and so on, because, as I said to Kathy yesterday, the math ain't mathing. You go and you get the degree because people say that that's the way in order to become a success. And the other example was a young lady she heard the discussion that we had yesterday, and she said that, you know, originally she reached out to a big firm, and she said that she was Caymanian. She submitted all of her qualifications in her CV showing that, you know, she was capable. She didn't even get a response. When she said that she was Caymanian American, submitting the same CV and everything, she got a job the same day. Wow.
I want to maybe expound that a bit, but we're speaking to Miss Teresa Picarn. We've got a couple of callers as we go to the phones. Let's take this first one. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and how are you all?
Very well, man. Thanks for taking time to share with us.
Yes, sir. It's been a long time since I called the show, but I heard Miss Teresa said something that is very prevalent and hit me kind of sideways when I heard what Miss Teresa said. And I've been calling the talk show and speaking throughout this island to friends and backyards and under shade trees, talking about the same thing when Miss Teresa talked about you're giving away. And then all of this problem starts with our government. Mr. Risa, I'm going to say this first and foremost. If you give a scholarship to a child, you literally give that child a hope that they will be able to come back one day and work in the country in which they came from with that scholarship. Until when you see our leaders change the style, and when I say change the style, it may not be the ones that they're, Mr. Risa. It may be newcomers that may change it before our kids have to pick up arms to get an opportunity in this country. I don't accept that under no circumstances that I taken away 3-4 years, sometimes depends what it is that they're studying. Come back to my country and I'm playing the lottery, hoping that I win a chance. That's not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to happen. Not in Canaan and not in times like now that the kids are more educated and they're willing to go for whatever their dream and aspiration was. They're more willing. We had them opportunity, but it wasn't open. And I'm going to tell you this. Some of you may not be privy to this, but you see the people that part of the scholarship department? Mr. Risa, are you listening?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The same people that part of the scholarship department are victimizing some of the individuals that get scholarships. Say they were granted a $10 scholarship. Sometimes, you know what they'll do the person? They'll give them $8, knowing that, you know, the parents outright can't truly afford, and that scholarship was 100% scholarship they got. They literally will only give them the 8. And multiple parents have been through that, and I guarantee if anyone want to listen, they will call and agree with it because it happened to family member of mine and individuals that I've friend with, it have happened to. So until when you see they get to the root cause the way some of these things have been happening, and don't turn a blind eye and do to it on the back burner hoping that nobody talk about, because it's talking. And that is one of the demeanor why some kids choose not, because I've heard a few weeks ago, a friend of mine told her child, whenever you finish, don't come back home. If you come to visit and stuff, and listen, these people that we growing up around, these kids that you see growing up, and well-mannered behavior, the attitude might not be the best, but you can't use attitude to deprive a person from actually getting the job of a career that they see fit, or that's where they dare to their heart would like to be in. And then at the end of the day, you telling me now that if I vote, that I voting for change. And you're right, we're voting for change. What are we changing? We're changing somebody that was in need and put into parliament to turn around and load in their pockets with opportunity or further opportunity to family friends. And until when you see they do a complete overhaul of some of these politicians that been there from grandmother days, no change no go come. One thing I've seen happen, Mr. Risa, that could have been rectified by the stroke of a pen was the right to be a Caymanian. To our kids that born here, when I was growing up, they always said, well, your birth certificate tells you where you're from. Nowadays, you're telling me my birth certificate, when I go apply for a job, they ask for passport information, place of birth, all of that you submit. And then they go in turn around and send you back to say proof of nationality. Where you're from is on that birth certificate. You could go live anywhere else and they give you citizenship. But where you from, that's where you're supposed to be able to get opportunity. Then they say that the kids feel entitled.
Exactly.
Where else in the world should I go and feel entitled besides here, man? Where else? Okay? My father's a Jamaican. I can't go to Jamaica beating up my chest talking about I'm entitled to opportunity. What opportunity? You're entitled to come back either as a passenger as freight if you continue that foolish behavior. And I can't understand why is it we always been a passive population. But our kids are not doing it. They're educating themselves. And you will say, okay, you're telling us to educate or telling them to educate themselves. And when the time comes, you slip the goalpost on them. How would you feel? And why would you want to keep giving people scholarship when you doesn't behold you're the one here? You see this job related the work program that they came up with? I had the understanding, the belief, and I may have believed wrong, that the work program was like it was like a clearinghouse that every job within a certain amount of money that they make, and sometimes it making like say per annum say over 100,000, then it would go to that. If it was anything else than as under say $15,000-$20,000 per annum, okay, we'll make the company now deal with that. But the government needs to take that entity when it comes to hiring for certain caliber jobs like lawyers and all of that. They need to take that away from these companies and let it go to a government system. So Caymanian could get true opportunity, because you can't deny me that I don't have the documentation. How do I get the experience? If you don't bring me in as a junior accountant or a junior lawyer, so I could practice doing small stuff within the law or another accounting agency, so I could build that background. When I first got my job, Mr. Risa, I didn't even graduate it. And I got hands-on training just by going there, work experience, hanging out there and learn. Thanks to Kirkland Nixon and Miss Angela Martin. They given me a chance to live out the life and dream of what I wanted to be, even though that wasn't my first choice. But my father said something to me that made me realize that was a better career. So at the end of the day, Ms. Teresa, I've listened to you and Dr. Steve and them for years. Your problem is your complexion and your hair. And that has been a stigma to our people. To the people that come in here on a plane. When you go give them the keys to your borders, they go let who they feel like, and they go stigmatize, and they go victimize people, because there's a lot of victimization in government and private sector. And if you don't have to watch dogs, you see, if you had a union, a lot of this problem would have been rectified a long time. A lot of these unprofessional individuals that they give HR positions now that haven't had qualification and being a true HR, because HR is like a neutral entity besides the management and the staff. And unfortunately, from government and private sector, a lot of victimization happened, Ms. Teresa. And I pray to God before our kids, because your kids know you, they know me. So whenever they're hungry and they can't get something to eat, they come in after the people they know. You see, needs assessment, they don't do a background check on the people they're giving money. If you on needs assessment, that's a health, that's not lifestyle. You're not sick, and you're not to say, well, motherless or fatherless like young kids. I would understand that situation for that entity. But you don't be taking individuals. A friend of mine had a cousin. She was going through some difficulty, separated from her baby father, and she was not single parent. Needed a little assistance with helping her pay like this. She had a job, but it wasn't covering the full thing, because CUC keep playing jumping jacks with the prices. As inflation keep jumping CUC before you get the dollar, government giving you $2 and CUC charging you $6. They tell her in order for them to help her, she would have to be without a job. You know what the young lady did? Ms. Teresa, you know what she done?
No, sorry.
She quit her job.
Yeah.
So government got to take care of it.
Yeah.
They got to give her upkeeping for the kids. They got to provide all the light and water and all that. Why in God's name when a person come and they need help and they got a job, they like their job, but then they're young in their career in the job and they won't go there. But they go house start from the crawling stage before they could step off and get position, which will get them more money. But nobody wants to be jumped from job to job.
Yeah.
But the reason is why they're jumping. They're underpaid as it is. It isn't because of what government got the minimum wage thing. It isn't because of that. It's just because of they started out and they coming in new to the door, so they go out climb the ladder when they getting promotions or whatever. And unfortunately, they got families that they need to take care of now. They can't wait till next 4 years, but they don't want to walk away from that job to try something else where they're probably comfortable and end up getting victimized in other places. So lo and behold, it ends up on the back of our people that have to take care of the needs assessment. They need to go and take a complete rehaul and restructuring to the work entity and the needs assessment thing. And hats off to the individuals that run in these organizations. But I think for 1 minute, they need to do a round table. When I see they sit down, Dr. Steve and few of them had got this work permit or startup board, when they did that study on how the best to go with the I don't know if it was
With the
roll up or
with the point system, I think he was working on.
Yes, that's right. And all of that work, Dr. Steve and whoever was with him spoke about it on Facebook a few weeks ago. All of that work that Dr. Steve done, and as usual in Cayman, it costs money. All of that money throw away in the garbage because what on top of the shelf and shelving, and all of this, if the issue comes up 20 years from now, go back to that same drawing board. So take out them documents and read up on them, because the reports that I've heard them, doing studies on things for years are still prevalent today. It's just that certain things, because, they got different technique and style how you can rectify things. And unfortunate, Mr. Risa, we got the same old relay mentality. We're passing the baton from one person to the next and doing the same old copy and paste. Until that, Mr. Manderson there about the ball, the world class. Whenever they get victimization, disadvantage, and control some of these runaway HRs and they take these jobs that pay X amount, because these foreigners, I don't care if nobody say, and I'm not going to take back. When it comes to in this country, when it comes to our borders, it's supposed to be our people. The foreigners could get job in the same organization, but they don't be in the office area doing paperwork. You don't have these on your borders. Because let me tell you something, when you want a leak and you want a breach in any system, you find individuals where making less pay, or better yet, are being victimized, and they'll sabotage. You could sell them up for candles. They'll take anything. And one thing I've seen when I come to the airport and watch the borders, I know well the port and stuff about Cayman, but check the securities out. Unfortunately, no Caymanians never want them job because of the underpaid. That's a sad part. And we know how to send a few dollars to them. We got to pay bills here. And one of the most expensive country in the world. And we don't want we want an opportunity there. So, Mr. Risa, if you're running, hats off to you, because at the end of the day, you're seeing people that you rub shoulders with will be your downfall. Because if they don't know when to say, well, boy, you're trying to run for a vote in the area where you never grown up, that's going to be your downfall. But I give you, if I could have voted and change the one-man vote system right back to you could have voted multiple for multiple people in whichever district you're in, I would have preferred that. This one-man, one vote don't work, because as you see, they're like they're horse wrangling when they're in Parliament. There's no loyalty among thieves. I'll say this, boy, there's no loyalty. And all people need to go back to the way like our forefathers and our grandparents growed up. Regardless of the land that we have, we make use of it and we work together. You go planting, you fishing, you go cow, we share. And unfortunately, not like that no more. Everybody is all for themselves. And then the few little foreigners that get willing to give them a little stipend and stuff, they're the ones that they swear an allegiance to, Mr. Risa. But best of luck to you, and I wish to God that you continue pushing and speaking out. And you will always be victimized because you're black. And you're educated. That's the part that they can't stop you for, because knowledge is power, and you did a wonderful job. You and Dr. Steve and Dr. Frank and Dr. Roy, many of them. If we only listen to some of them and take them serious, but there's no politician wants to be talked down to. None of them wants to hear you out because they feel that, well, you can't feel threatened and interested in your job. I would never run for politics, and I'm not supporting no politician if they're not doing things in the interest of our people. That's all I got to say.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing.
All right, cool.
All right.
Yes,
there was a lot of stuff that he raised.
We got a break. I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but let's take the break and you can. All right. Teresa Karen is our guest. Conversation continues for as long as she has time to share with us. We invite you to join us after the break.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments January 6th to the 9th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email Dr. Porter Cayman at gmail.com. That's drportercayman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Happy New Year from Vigoro. We're so excited to keep growing with you in 2025. Ready to bring new life to your landscape this year? Come to Vigoro. With over 40 years of experience and multiple Governor's Awards for excellence in design, we're pros at turning garden dreams into reality. From cozy corners to big backyard projects, residential or commercial, our award-winning team is here to help you grow. Let's make 2025 your greenest year yet, K-Man. With Vigoro by your side.
At the Family Resource Center, we recognize the growing concern with healthy and safe digital use for children. Parenting the Digitally Safe Child, a 4-week workshop, is designed for parents and caregivers who want to learn more about healthy screen use and how to keep their children and teens safe on all platforms. National Drug Council and others will guest speak to enhance parents' learning. Starting January 10th at 12 to 1 p.m. on Zoom. Contact Family Resource Center at frc@gov.ky to reserve your spot for this free service.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for not just your time and attention, your participation, your calls, especially as we welcome Ms. Teresa Picard as our guest. Before we take the next slated call, anything you want to share with us, Ms. Teresa? Maybe do we raise our mic more, my friend? You tell us? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we're good. No, the gentleman that spoke before, there was a whole bunch of stuff that he raised, and I mean, we could spend the whole time having a conversation about that. But one of the things, 2 things that he said that I wanted to touch on just very, very briefly. There's a list that's being circulated about folks that are running. I don't know that it's accurate, because I mean, people have listed my name there, and I certainly haven't declared that I'm running. But if you look at the number of younger voters that are younger potential leaders that are entering the race, you get the sense that the votes will be split, and the same persons who were elected previously will get elected again, return to office. One of the things that I raised yesterday when I was speaking to Kathy was the fact that, you know, Caymanians are disenchanted now with the whole independence concept, grouping concepts, party concepts, And that's because, in my mind, we have never really encouraged education where civics is concerned. And I'm repeating it again because I'm hoping that those who are responsible for education will think seriously about introducing civic education in, at least in the high school. I was saying to one of the young ladies that was sharing her concerns and experience with me yesterday, I had the pleasure of going to Sunday school with Miss Evie Wood as one of my Sunday school teachers, right? So, and Bordentown just has this deep well of really amazing women, and I fortunately was exposed to having these women in my life. So I was saying to the young lady yesterday, because she's saying, she's not going to go out and vote, and I took the time then to listen to her, and I said, how hard it was for women to actually get the vote. I said they had to go twice to try, and I was talking a little bit about women's suffrage and what we did and so on, and I said Miss Evie was the first woman that was elected to our legislature in 1962, and I said, how awesome is that? So we don't even know too much about our background. We don't even know about the things that are positive, like the seamen, why they had, why indeed, there was this huge requirement and demand for these men. These men made ships on their own. These men could navigate the waters. There's a significant amount of pride that's there. And they would, it was really globalization. Yeah. It changed all of that in the narrative. And of course, the women started to rebuild the community in order to develop the offshore industry. Yeah. The other point that I was going to make, because what the gentleman was talking about, why is it we're quiet? Why is it we're passive? And those other things. A thought that I shared yesterday on, and again, it also is reflective of so many people that are running, and we don't have the type of collective or coherence or cohesiveness in our community where we are willing to work with each other, identify somebody as a leader, and then, just support that person. Mr. Gerard, Commissioner Gerard, he always says that he doesn't understand Caymanian people, rather than, work together, they'll go into the engine room and they will just mash it up and everybody get drowned. And we need to understand and unpack that aspect of our cultural behavior as a community.
But we heard that, go on.
And one final point, because, and this is really, really important, as I listened to the gentleman with what he was sharing, you see, no one don't want to admit the level of unemployment that we have in the community, and it's kind of sad that we don't, because as the gentleman says, there's people in the community that will speak the truth and identify the white elephant in the room, and it just so happened that those persons in this community have always been people of color. And I'm alluding to what the gentleman said. With our young people, what we're seeing right now, and this is what really, really worries me, because it's not everybody that's going to go to university, and it's not everybody that's going to necessarily go into trade schools and so on. But you see them now getting into gangs and criminal ventures just to survive. And they have this jaundiced view about our judiciary, because they see that certain people get certain sentences and others don't. Rightly or wrongly, that is the perception that you hear that people have. And it's almost as though this community is setting up our young men in particular to be criminals because of the way in which it's organized. Now, that's a huge bit of unpacking to do. But when you think about when you think about people being unemployed and people being hungry and people wanting to take care of their families, you got to figure out, and they feel that there are no legitimate ways of making an earning, or even if they try to get in it, they will do things that fall outside societal norms. Right. And that is a real worry that I have.
That last comment, given the impact, and two things. In relation to our young people, the gang organization, the criminal predisposition, as you were sharing, what do you think is driving out? Is there an influence? Is there something influencing that mindset, that behavior, that sort of approach? What do you think that is?
So there are a number of things that I think speaks to that behavior. I'm not necessarily keen on sharing it.
Okay.
Because when you start to talk about stuff like that and the cultural differences and the cultural nuances that you have to reveal to be honest about that, I am not so sure if people want to have those issues ventilated.
Maybe let me respect you and not press that now.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask the second thing, but let's take this call first,
Of
and then
course.
we'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take this call. Hey, welcome and thanks for sharing.
Buenas tardes. How are
Buenas tardes, mi amigo.
you? Good.
¿Qué tal?
Oh, not bad, Lord Sterling.
I'm glad to hear from you. Hearing from you means that, you're with us and you're ever present, man. So thanks for sharing.
Well, guess what? No. I don't know if Miss Teresa is running.
Someone's telling me that I've lost all of this weight. Is it because people think I'm running?
But I would support her. I support what her intelligence and her brilliance. She's a very brilliant woman.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Very strong woman, and I think that she can work anywhere. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually publicly speak about politics and politicians, even though I favor quite a few of them. But I don't know where that would be. The Miss Teresa would be running, but I support her strength, and I think that they need a strong woman like her in Parliament. That's my opinion.
Well, thank you for sharing it publicly. And
Doctor, I know Dr. Steve calls her Miss Pitcairn, but I'd like to call her Miss Lady Pitcairn today.
Wow. Thank you.
You're a good man. All right, take care, B.
Yeah, she's a strong woman. The people need to draw from her strength. Yeah. A lot of women here in Cayman and a lot of men too. She's a strong woman. I think she would be a very strong leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. I like I say, I don't usually speak about politics, but in my opinion, she stands out.
But thank you for making an exception to that and certainly speaking to it, man.
Thank you.
And
yeah.
All right. Talk to you soon. But to that caller's point, I like the fact that he, like our other callers, will call and share, but he is deliberate and specific and willing to not just say what he wants to say, but say it positively. And oftentimes we don't see enough that is encouraging and nurturing, right? With that, as we look at the voter apathy that you reference and getting more of us not just registered, but registered and on the day of election going out and marking our ballots in a very informed, deliberate, conscious way for this candidate of choice, even if it's for ourselves, for more than just being elected. The caller prior reference, he doesn't like this system. We have now this system. What's your take on it, and what's your take on what he said in National Vote?
So it so happened that I remember there was a conversation that Dr. Steve McField and the Honorable Roy Borden and I had when we were having the one man, one vote thing. And they pilloried me.
Yeah.
They really, convinced me that what they were thinking with the one man, one vote. And I said, and a lot of what we're seeing today were some of the real concerns that I had at the time. Yeah. There is Cayman is a really small community, and you could see how easily it is if you have a voter community of say 500 by way of example, and you know that you can control 250 votes no matter what. You're in that seat for life. And of course we know how or we know how people tend to behave in human conflict. If we have the the Boundary Commission report, which was actually revealed the other day, if we were to introduce that, which is what we're supposed to do by way of the Constitution, we're not only supposed to look at it, we're supposed to take it seriously. And this, I think Dr. C was involved with this particular commission as well. Folks refused to bring that to the table and to have cabinet approve it and make it, a part of, So there is no motivation once you're elected and in office to do something that goes counter to your ambitions to remain in office.
Right.
And what you then do is to create a community based on how you see leadership ought to be reflected in that community.
So Garrison politics.
Well, you're going there.
No, but
that's one
difference.
That's one example. That's just one example, and you see it. Why you see it right now in living colors in the community. I always, when the Honorable Ezard Miller would speak about the role of the politician and then the role of the handlers, as he called it, that is very real. The people who control the economics of the, who's get elected and who doesn't get elected, they're real. They're never the ones that are held accountable, but it's the politicians that actually take the heat.
Right. So just for the listener, I mean, you shared just then very deliberate directly, but just for emphasis and edification, you were not in favor.
I was never in favor of one man, one vote.
The national vote would be a better opportunity. A house divided can't stand.
So we have a Westminster type system, right, and it's designed to have parties. We don't even have a community that is educated about the value of the votes. We don't have a community that even have shared ideals about how community should evolve. And you see that replicated when you have independents that fail, you have groupings that fail, you have parties that fail, and people shift and so on. And that actually is reflective of a community that's, in flux.
It's divided in its joints.
So it is what it is, but we have to figure out why is that, and this is why I came back to the whole notion of what Gerard has always said about the Caymanian psyche and how we behave and how So I know you don't like, but we gotta call it.
I take your point, and I recognize increasingly that there are people who will say what they think and they think about what they say. Those people that speak openly and honestly get castigated publicly, celebrated sometimes privately, only after a drunken stupor, right, by the person who otherwise wouldn't say. We need more of those people to stand up, right, and do the right thing. So to you, as what the caller shared, a leader who's independent, who's strong, how then do we get it, Mr. Teresa? More of us engaged, informed, involved, so that not just as voter, but also as elected, right? That
you have to be organized, and it's a sadness on the one hand to see how the younger people are being forced to come out, because at this moment in time, experience really counts. And if you have and I'm not suggesting that someone that is 24 or 25 don't have the experience and shouldn't necessarily run for office, but where we are right now in our development, I would encourage people with experience to get elected. People who understand the industry, understand the pros and cons with, and especially now where we are having to grapple with all of these issues and not even having a development plan about what we're going to do. So that, and as I said to you during the break, as a consequence of this fracture, what you're going to see are the same people who are incumbents more likely to get elected than others. And of course, the concern that the voting community normally have is that even when you actually vote for change, the day after you put your tick or your X on that ballot, like May 1st, what you think has no value, because you're going to have all of that horse trading, and that horse trading, as we have seen, is not really conducive to good government. Look how many times we've had changes in this one cycle with leadership.
Is that then going back to partially and potentially what you just shared that Mr. Ezra had said? But it's not just the elected MP. His phrase was the handlers. They're able to dictate and define the outcome. Listen, this is what we need because of maybe their investment.
Well, and so, so I was yesterday when I was having a conversation with Kathy, I was in two minds. I was saying, anyone who takes the view that I did yesterday in identifying the concerns that you have when you have persons with economic control handling our politicians, because what the consequence of something like that is that you may go in, for example, and you have certain values, although those values may be questionable to a degree.
Yeah.
When that person who funds your campaign comes and taps you on the shoulder and say, hey, look, this is what I want, and it then puts that politician in the invidious position of some of the times, or most of the times, going against the grain of something that he or she knows that's in the best interest of community.
Who pays the piper calls?
Something like that.
Okay.
And it is something that has to be we need to have a national conversation about that.
Maybe we tell that in. We're going to pause, take our news break. You have a few more minutes later?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for making time. Teresa Picard is our guest. She referenced me on the show with Kathy. That's the Business Buzz.
Oh, yeah.
Go to our, is it a YouTube? Yeah, that's what it's called, boy. See, even me know the terminology.
There you go.
No, fantastic, really came on site. Go there, look at the Business Buzz program yesterday. Kathy does a fantastic job with hosting
She
it.
did.
And that was an amazing discussion. We direct you to listen to it. Also, check out this morning's For the Record with Dr. Steve and, Mr. Orrit.
He was on this morning.
He was on this morning, so it really came on. Is there. We were there before there was FOI.
Thebomb.com.
Yeah, we
we
got the ball.
I hear you.
All right, we're going to pause. When we come back, you may want to listen to our news. They'll inform you and update you. Stay tuned.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Be part
part of the 2025 Chamber Economic Forum on Friday, 17th of January at the Kimpton Seafire. Join world-renowned economist Marla Ducarin, government leaders, and business experts as we explore the future of Cayman's economy. From workforce innovation to tourism sustainability, this is where bold ideas turn into action. Celebrate progress and 60 years of the Chamber's leadership and service to our community. Sponsored by CUC, DART, Health City Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. Register now at caymanchamber.ky. Don't miss it.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Bright. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
Just after 10 a.m. this morning, police and other emergency services were dispatched to Grand Harbor for a report of a suspicious occurrence. 911 received an active call of potential explosives inside of the Hurley's supermarket at the Grand Harbor Shopping Center on Crew Road. This required the entire plaza, including the supermarket, pharmacy, restaurant, school, and other businesses to have been evacuated, and all persons have been accounted for. However, traffic in the area is not affected. Stay tuned for more developing updates as investigations continue. Good afternoon. Once again, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Panama has insisted that its sovereignty over the Panama Canal is non-negotiable after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump refused to rule out military force to seize it. Trump made the remark during a news conference on Tuesday, at which he also falsely stated that the Panama Canal was being operated by Chinese soldiers. Panama's Foreign Minister Javier Martinez Acha responded by saying that the only hands operating the canal are Panamanian, and that is how it's going to stay. And the Palisades fire in Los Angeles, California has triggered mandatory evacuations as a thick, heavy smoke hung over the region. Officials say the blaze grew from 20 acres to more than 200 acres in about 20 minutes after it was reported. The growth has been fueled by a fierce wind event that has placed a large portion of the state under a red flag warning. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just the delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And another 10 minutes or thereabouts with Miss Teresa Pitcairn. Your sort of perception of the landscape. The gentleman that called earlier has a perception of you as being strong, independent, very, very intelligent. And that was nice for him to say that, because I think we need to. Two things. As we talk about the political landscape and the unfolding general elections, what nominations on March the 3rd?
I think March 1st.
Okay. March the 3rd, I think.
March the, yeah,
right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And the general elections on the 30th of April. Today's a Wednesday, and put a show is January. Is it the 8th? So we're not that far away.
Yeah.
What is the country should be looking for in relation to the caliber, the character, the whatever in our candidates that we're going to elect for the next, cohort of legislators? And B, from the voters' perspective, what is it that we need to do, not only to get racism involved, but engage? So what should we be looking for in that?
So I'm going to respond to the question inversely. Questions inversely.
Go right ahead.
Right. I think that our leadership is not, the current leadership, it's not in touch. But it's not just them. And I mean, I say this though in the context as I started the conversation with the fact that we have done a marvelous job in developing the offshore industry, done a great job in developing the service industry as well. But Caymanians have a right to feel that they are completely for the most part, they are disenfranchised. And when decisions are being made, it appears as though they aren't front and center of the decision making that happens. And we can see why that is some of the times when you play it out with those who actually fund the campaign. And of course, we don't know who fund the campaigns. People have speculation about who fund the campaigns and so on and so forth. So that's one issue. The real worry that I have right now, looking at the whole roster of people that are going to be running, possibly running, and I don't say that that's accurate because, like I said, you haven't heard me declare anything, so it's going to split the votes, and it's very, very, very likely that the same persons who we elected are likely to be those that are returning. And even if those that actually are running in groups or independents or persons within one group or another group, even if you're going to have that same horse trading. So you won't have people who will have sat together, break bread together, drank tea or coffee together, understand the synergies of that room, devising policies, sitting down and thinking about how are we going to move forward and so on. So that when we actually enter office on May 1st, when we, by the end of May, for example, we have a plan. We have a body that we know is going to form the government. We're going to go right to cabinet, get that approved, and go straight to the AG's office to get these policies introduced. So that you have the first 90 days, first 6 months, you will demonstrate to the Caymanian people, hey, look, I kept my promise, right? But to do something like that, you need to have a disciplined group of people committed to a cause and so on. I don't see any of that in that makeup.
Yeah, let me then ask you, on the premise that you were one of those 19 or instrumental in that, if you were advising that group, what would be two of those policies in those 90 days, you say, the 6 months, that should be introduced?
We got to look at the immigration policies, and we got to look at cost of living.
Okay.
And with cost of living, there's a whole different waterfall of elements that come under that, whether it's housing, whether it's employment, all under that. And one of the things that I would ask the voters to do when folks come to your home and they say that they're going to make these promises and so on, and they deliver these manifestos, get them to sit down and explain in layman's term exactly how they intend to deliver on those promises. And in the context of them not even knowing whether or not they're going to get elected as a group. Yeah.
I want to ask that, but first, you said immigration and cost of living. One or two things, Max, you can share more if you wish. for the cost of living that you would either, as an MP or as an advisor to the MPs, suggest that we should implement as a policy to address the cost of living?
No. Kathy tried that one on me yesterday as well.
Well, we have to ask her.
Well, she wanted to know, well, what are your thoughts? And I said, yeah.
No, I gotta be direct.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're transparent, okay?
Listen.
No, what I discovered when I ran the first time in 2000, I came in all gung-ho and wanted to share. And the next thing I know, I saw it on people's manifestos.
Good.
Yeah.
So the reason why I did that, for people who may not know, I think you and I have had a very good friendship, interaction.
We do.
For, I don't want to say for decades, because people would look at me and say, he's old, but for you, they would say, wait a minute, she's too young for that. Right, Mr. John? You say yes.
Yeah.
With that, and understanding that's how our community is, how then do we get people, right, to speak so candidly and so courageously, knowing that at the end of the day, it'll be held against us, will be somehow, like your example, somebody else would take credit for it, and the thing will probably not be as effective because they've watered it down, if I may use it in that euphemism. Yeah. So how do we get to that table?
So, the young lady that I spoke to, two of them yesterday, she says, well, Miss Teresa, why are you so different? And I keep getting that all the time. My mother was a single mother. She was Cayman's first policewoman. And I shared with my daughter last night, she would always say, it's you and me against the world. So the values that I have watching her navigate this planet, because she lost her mom at age 16. And I watched her, so my experience is, most of my life, which I grew up in Jamaica, where, education, and I read voraciously. When I came to Cayman, I had to learn how to dumb down. That's a tragedy, because some of the times we still see that playing out. It's changing a bit, but you see how that's playing out, changing out a little bit.
I don't know if it's changing. Right?
So to ask the question about encouraging people to speak candidly, it's not a part of this culture. Some people, and those who have spoken candidly, like myself, you're expected to walk with the mark of Cain. I remember the experiences I've had in my career, as you know. No one expected me, for example, to land in FIFA's judiciary, right? No one expected me to do the work that I did for FIFA, for the Caribbean Football Union, and for CONCACAF in the region, introducing all of these different administrative models, change management. No one expected me to do that. And today, I suspect no one expected me to be managing director of one of America's largest banks. But with having the mom that I did, experience is supposed to help you grow, and it's one of the best gifts that I had when I went through a number of and it actually, if I were honest, it started when I was Miss Cayman, and the drama, the drama that came with that, that actually awakened me to the kind of community that I was living in. And it was one of the best gifts people like Edward Solomon, Harriet Lott, and Lana, and all of those women gave me, because I then saw it was possible to get people to support you. I started modeling after I did so well in these two pageants, and one day I observed some women, and I said, I don't want that for me. I called my mother and I said, Mom, I'm going back to school. My mother was so elated, because when I went to high school, I was one of that genre that you took 9 O-levels and everybody expected you to pass. I failed everyone except English language and literature.
I was smart because,
But when I came back and I was driven and determined, and no one believed me but my mom, I repeated the 7 O-levels. I did 5 A-levels, 9 months working full time.
Yeah.
Thank God for Mr. Jefferson at the time.
Yeah. Well, I you share this with me, and for the people on the side, my laugh is that we sometimes we don't see the value in us, and even though our parents are encouraging, thankfully you always celebrate, share with your mother as a mother yourself. You inspire your own, right? But we don't apply ourselves. And when you've come back and resat, that maturity, that discipline, that application is now where you've taken on more responsibility. So you're working full time, you've now studying extensively, but your focus, your determination, your directed energy, and you see the outcomes, and then that's, I think, propel you to your further studies, your undergrad, your law, and the like. I want to ask, say that to ask our people as parents, be there with the children, to ensure that thing that we're trying to get them to, it isn't because we're holding the stick to them. It isn't because we're extending the carrot to incentivize, to motivate. We're walking alongside and we're nurturing and we're trying to get them to see that this is an investment, not a sacrifice. That this study tonight is not just to pass the exam tomorrow. It's an application for life. And I think you epitomize that.
Listen. My children will tell, well, as a parent, you have to be an advocate for your kids. It's first and foremost. And I mean, when you decide to take on that responsibility, you got to make that. And that's the sadness some of the times when we see so many young women having parents not, and this is not a criticism, because if they appreciated what it actually took to raise kids and so on, I suspect that they would have had second thoughts and so on. But that's a story for another day.
We'll pick it up.
And that's a part that has to be a part of the national conversation and why we're there as well. My eldest daughter calls me her bestie. And I remembered when she was showing the movie Ivan. It shocked everyone. And the Honorable Minister Kenneth Bryan came on. He says, "Oh my goodness, how many kids you think call their mom bestie?" And in as much as I was someone who, my kids knew the rules. They knew every Friday, for example, my husband, as you know, is Scottish. They knew the Beatles and all the songs and stuff that he enjoys. I am, from the Caribbean, and my genre is jazz music. So even if I had a boy, it would have been called jazz. But they knew.
You have a good husband.
He's my bestie, right? He's all of that. But on a serious note, being an advocate for your children. Now, I was pretty transparent, so my kids knew me. When I said a no, they knew a no meant no. And I said a yes is a yes. And I didn't make them promises that they couldn't keep. So.
Well, this is maybe one time you'd allow us to talk to you about the parenting role, right? Your mother's example, but also I think what you shared. And if one of my sisters, I won't call her by name, the family knows which one. She tells all of us, not just told, she tells, you cannot be a lazy parent. Okay, you are the parent. You can be friends and friendly with but you're still a parent. So I think Jazz understands it. You're a bestie, but at the end of the day, as you just said, listen, mama,
And I mean, this relationship is from womb to tomb. so
But it's the respect, because you have respect for her.
Oh yeah.
Right? But you're also respectable. And I think I'm mindful of what I said about men and fathers earlier. And if a man feels offended, good. Do something about it. Pull up your pants, right? But women, if I might through you, ask them, please, be a little bit more discerning in your choices. Be a little bit more respectful of your steps, and recognize the value that you are. The woman is the greatest of all. And some are allowing themselves, by their words and their deeds, to be displaced.
So can I stick a pin?
Yes, please.
Yeah, because I'm not keen necessarily on pointing fingers in that way, and I don't think that's what you intend.
No, but I want
do.
you to emphasize it. Yes,
but we have had 2 decades of children raising children, and the values that women would have, that would have been transferred to their children. Most of our women, mom, auntie, cousin, everybody, grandma was busy building the offshore industry, and we left our kids at homes with persons having responsibility for them who didn't share our values. You know, and when you get home, and I know this as a mom, I used to, when I would leave Maples, I would stop by Smith's. Miss Berner would hit me if I ever said Smith, go Smith back a there.
Yeah.
I would stop there, collect my thoughts for 10 minutes, knowing that I'm going to go home to 3 young kids and so on. I had to do my thing. So that by the time I walk through the door, because when you open that door, you have a torrent of kids running towards you, everybody wanting their attention. You got to fix meals. And so when you make the decision to be a parent, you know, people, for example, would ask, you know, and I use Jazz only because of the career that she chose. No one in their right mind would encourage a kid to go into that area. And I know John, you know, would always be a little cautious and a little hesitant, and I would say to him, let them dream big, you know. And if I thought, for example, that she wouldn't have been able to do this, I would be the first person to say, boy, Jazzy, you go try a little something. But she was committed. She was driven. Her focus is kind of like laser, like mine. Once she's committed, and my twins are the same way. You know, with when they play squash and, you know, other games and stuff like that, they're all different people, but it's dreaming. My daughter, one of them, hates English, hates reading. So I had to figure out, what am I going to do to encourage this kid to read? So we had to figure out, John and I had to figure out things, you know, what we do and so on. The girl got A stars and she got 11 O levels, you know, so and if she could only have delivered a C for English, I would have accepted the C if I knew that's all she could do.
That's right.
But because I knew the potential, I said, look, if you want this, and if this is your dream, you got to be able to, you know, we got to negotiate how you're going to get there.
But that, I think, you know, compliments, and I appreciate what you shared, you know, what we're trying to achieve in that. At the end of the day, as men and as women and as parents, we're raising the bar, but we're drawing alongside of each other, and we're supporting. Our expectations are always one of excellence. We're giving our utmost, our best, always to each other. And I think our society can only improve if we stop rewarding mediocrity, if we start denying that what is around us is just froth and some other words that we could use. People like you, your mom, I look at the statue often right in town. It's not just because it's sort of, you know, just opposite the library, but what it means right in our corner, that in its sheer size, it actually consumes the whole square because of its magnitude. But it's not enough for us to celebrate because it's not evident every day. And that, you know, epitomizes what our women are, not just what they were. The fact that we got, you know, the vote for women not long after the US did speaks volumes for a very small place.
1959.
Go to history. The US wasn't too many decades prior. And yet, the way they got it, with the level of, I guess, violence in a sense that they had to endure in their protests, we got it with the stroke of a pen.
I mean, can you imagine though? And I mean, you've just resurrected a memory. Not even being able to open your own bank account as a woman. That was listen. And a final thought before I leave, because, and I'm reminded, and I share this with some of the women from time to time that I meet, about the whole role of failure. Failure is not the end of anything. You know, failure is an opportunity for you to digress or to really explore what the universe has in store for you.
It's not failure, it's just, you know, a different approach.
There you go.
Let's see, we could talk again if you will. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
To you and the family. Thanks for being great parents.
Thanks for your friendship.
Well,
always.
Likewise, man, because sometimes, you know, if we don't remind each other how important it is to work, to nurture, to support, to respect, but also to hold each other to account, trust me, we'll never get any better. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to come back, share with you for a few minutes, and then, well, we're going to play some music. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Okay. That was good.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And thanks to Miss Teresa Picarin for coming in and reminding the voters the importance of getting registered. Tomorrow we have Mr. Wesley Howell at 1 p.m. joining us and reminding us of the process to get registered to vote. And then on Friday, we reached out to Mr. Philip Richter. He'll come in and we'll talk some more about that. The deadline is the 15th of this month. That is not that far away. If today is the 8th. The elections, for us to, go to the polls. We've always enjoyed free and fair elections. We want to continue in that vein. We go out, we mark our ballots. The elections office makes it the process. I don't know if anywhere else is as easy. They even come to us if necessary, not only with that mobile voting, the absentee ballots and the like. But it's great to be able to go out and cast our ballots for the candidate as it is now. There may be 2 people on the ballot, there may be 4, there may be more. I don't know how many there'll be in the respective 19 constituencies. If you are registered in that one, that's the one that you will vote in. The candidates can, if they're duly qualified, choose to run in any of the 19, whether they live in that particular area. So, for example, a person could live in one area, vote for that candidate of choice in that area, but choose as a candidate to contest one of the seats in another area. If you're living in one and you are registered in another, the elections office has a form, relatively easy process. You may want, as you should, make that amendment because you're now living in that area. You risk, and I think Mr. Howell will remind us tomorrow, being challenged because somebody says, wait a minute now, you're registered over here, but you're voting here, so you can't, truly go to the polls and cast your ballot because you're no longer, living in this area. In some cases, it could be that you just move houses, a few doors over, as it were. But given the boundaries as they are now, you have, changed the voting area, the constituency. You may be still in the district, in a sense, but the electoral boundaries are now separate. So, if you're not sure, confirm that with the elections office. Get registered to vote if you can. If you have any concerns, the elections office personnel, I think, are not only accessible, but they are very, very, very professional. They are very, very personable. They'll guide you. To all the volunteers who are part of the elections process, not just those who are supporting the candidates of choice, but those who are volunteering and will be part of ensuring that we have that free and fair elections. Thank you very much. The elections officer will tell you, more as we hear from Mr. West tomorrow. All right, thanks again to everybody. I want you to have a great and wonderful, Wednesday, as it were. Be part of our discussion again tomorrow, as we shared. The election supervisor, Mr. Wesley Howell, will be our guest at 1 o'clock. And again, as the research shared with us, she had a fantastic discussion with her own Kathy Miller on the business boards yesterday. Go to our YouTube channel and watch that if you wish. Certainly listen to Mr. Art and Dr. Steve's discussion this morning on For the Record. That's also there as well. All right, tomorrow's another day. Our prayer always is that we'll be an active, positive part of what unfolds. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important.